Hi guys, so in this video I want to correct the mistake I've done with my Pannier racks when I've made them, or when I modified them I should say. But before I do that I thought maybe it's helpful for someone if I just go through what I've done and yeah, give you an idea maybe, in case you want to do the same. So the panniers and top box I have on this bike are from a 2015 I believe Tiger 800, which fit nicely. I think they're identical to the 1200 Tiger. But for now, yeah, let's start with the top box mount. So this plate came with the top box and the panniers. All came as a set when I bought them. I found a good deal on eBay. Yeah, the boxes are up there. So yeah, this little support here came with the bike and had a different plate on it for a different aftermarket top box, which I didn't really want. So initially it had these 2 bars, sorry. So I've cut them off, welded these plates, a bit wider than they need to be, but it's what I had around, and welded them back just for stiffness, and I thought they looked better being there. This is obviously part of the plate for the top box, and I've also made some spacers in there, because I needed them. So the way I started, I've also welded a plate here in the front, so the top box mount attaches straight to it. And I just put the top box on it to make sure I've got it at the right angle, and then measured the height of my spacers. So I've got 4 spacers in there, one set here, one height, and another set in the back, which also has a step milled into it of a different height. I don't remember the values, but you can measure those. So yeah, that's about it for my top box. It looks good, stays on, it's pretty secure. I'm not sure I'm very happy with the way Triumph make these floating top boxes. They say it helps balance the bike or something like that. Fair enough. So moving on to the panniers, I started on this side. Reason being, this side already has an offset for the exhaust. The other side on the 800 Tiger doesn't. So one pannier is closer to the bike than the other. But on the 1200, I believe they're symmetrical, so they're both spaced apart the same. Don't know why they made it different, but anyway, I had the ones off the Tiger 800 because they came with the panniers. So I started with this side. On the back here, it attaches to the same bolt the top box one is, just with a little spacer that came with the pannier kit. And basically this down here is unchanged. I just measured this to be more or less parallel or slightly facing in, I can't remember, but it's almost parallel with the bike. And down here, this is my passenger foot peg. I've made this nice little bracket for it, which holds it. It's bolted right there, and the bolt on the back of the foot peg, and it's really nice, fits pretty good. So that was pretty straightforward. The only mod was making that bracket here, but this and this, or as they came from the factory. But this one I had to cut off, get a piece of bar and bend a new one. So I put this curve into it. You can see it's slightly crushed. It's not perfectly round, but it's fine. And there's a plate there. Should have made it a bit shorter, but I couldn't because they're almost touching there, so I had to push it back a bit. However, when I cut the plastic off, I must have measured something else because I cut way too much. It doesn't look bad. I tried to almost match it, like almost looks factory. If you wouldn't know the bike, you wouldn't notice this was actually cut by someone else. But it would have been nicer if I just cut as much as I needed, not the extra bit. I'll just have to live with it now. And on the other side, there was a bit more work to do, because this is normally sitting closer to the bike, but I want it to be symmetrical, spaced the same amount, and also I have an exhaust on either side to account for. So started with this pretty long spacer here, just to push it out as much as the other side. Now this bar here, I could have made the bracket different, but I didn't want to, so that bracket is symmetrical from the other side, so it's the same, just the bend is coming towards me rather than on the other side. So I had to bend this to match. And here again the same story, I had to cut off the existing mount and weld another bent piece of bar with a plate on the end so I can bolt it down. And again, should have measured more carefully. Maybe I thought I just want to be able to get to the bolt without removing the fairings, but yeah, there's no real need for that. So anyway, I'm gonna live with that. It's not terrible. That's it on my pannier racks. I just added some toolboxes here just to be able to carry some stuff I don't want to hold in the panniers. They don't look great, but they don't look terrible. Obviously, if you have the panniers on, it sort of hides it. If you don't, you sort of wonder what's going on, but it's not that bad. I got a pump and some rags in one of them, and that one's actually empty now, but I'll just have some spanners and some Allen keys in case I ever need it. And now let's go on to the mistake. So the original pannier rack had this bar here. Probably went something like this, offset for the exhaust side, and yeah, probably like that. But it was obviously too short for me. I needed a longer one. And I ignored this bend in it. I didn't realize it might have a purpose, so I've made my own. So it was just a straight piece of bar. I've got a bend on the end because this is higher than the other side. I'm probably not holding the camera very straight and the bike is leaning slightly, but yeah, that bar is horizontal, or should be horizontal, and I just have one bend here so I can mount it to this bracket, which is slightly higher than on the other side. Crushed the ends, drilled, and just bolted right there. And I thought, or it looked like it's far enough from the wheel, but it's not. When I jump over bumps or something, I actually hit this with the wheel, and you can see it's already bent. That's because I had too many donuts. And also, if you look on the inside, it started peeling the paint off. So to me, it looked like it's far enough. Don't know what the camera picks up, but it still looks like, yeah, it's never gonna touch. But it actually does, surprisingly. So the plan today is to make another one and have it running right here under the number plate, or lower, about around here somewhere, bent inwards, another bend to make it parallel, hopefully, if I can manage that. And the same thing, crush the ends and drill it. And I also have to account for the slightly higher one. So yeah, not sure yet how I'm gonna do that. I've got a piece of bar here, just enough for one, but if I make a mistake I'll have to order another piece. And I've got a pipe bender here. It's a plumber's pipe bender, but it's quite a solid one, so it actually manages that tube quite easily if you can put enough force into it. So enough talk, and let's get started. So my plan is to start from the middle, more or less, just have this distance here, and start the bend from here outwards, and then another one. I actually need 3 bends on this side, but yeah, but I may just be able to twist this or do something about that. So yeah, the bar is quite a bit longer than it needs to be. I'm going to leave a bit of material on the end just so I can trim it, or just have enough to grip so I can bend it. But ideally I'd want all the leftover bit on one end so I can use that for another project. So yeah, let's start with this side, because this should be just 2 bends and a bit easier. So I measure my number plate, 225. Start from this end. It's going to be something probably like this. So that's roughly 160. So if I leave 180 on this side, plus this half, and I'll mark my center. So yeah, 180 plus till the middle here is going to be 11.34 centimeters. So I'll just call that 30, and I'll mark my center. So there we go, got a mark at 30 here. That's 225, but I'll call it 240. So that's 120 millimeters on either side. So this is where I start my bend. There we go, 420. So I got my marks. I'll hand over to the bender and try to put 2 bends. Don't know the angle, I just eyeball it and try to get it symmetrical for now. So I've got my first bend in, Doesn't look too bad. Just matching it here. Looks like I need a bit more. I want to be something like that. There we go, we got our second bend. I ate a bit into the section where I didn't really want to bend it, but didn't really have a choice. But yeah, it's looking pretty good so far. So obviously the aim is to get these two parallel. So here we go. It actually fits pretty good if you ask me. The end needs trimming off a bit, that was deliberate. So yeah, that is bent too much of it, or this is bent too much of it. They were supposed to be parallel, but didn't get there. I'll sort it out somehow in the end. I might just crush it and just bend the tab a bit. It's only a minor detail. So yeah, now the next challenge is to get this bend symmetrical and the same angle. So now I'm just trying to match the bend I've started on this side so I can put the block in, because before I couldn't do it because of that third bend I've done. And looks like I've managed to overbend the other side as well, so I'll try to straighten this up a bit. And another problem is this is slightly twisted, because I've done that mistake with bending it the wrong way. It didn't quite keep its shape, so this is going that way a bit. It's annoying, but we'll get there slowly. So here we are with the bar, it's nearly there. And the funny thing is, this funny bend, you can see this end is pointing upwards. This kink in here is actually working to my advantage, because that means, looking at it, it means I don't have to do anything about the fifth bend. The fact that it's pointing upwards, I might have to do it a bit more if I can, but that actually solves my problem there. So that's great news. are, it's the next day, and I managed to get the ends crushed. So they turn out pretty well, I think. Sorry, I'm just staring at the little screen, see if I actually have this in view. So yeah, they turn out alright, it's pretty good. If you look there, I've got a radius which matches the radius on my little bracket pretty closely, so that's nice. It's much better than a straight edge would. So yeah, let's see what it looks like on the bike. And it fits very well. That mark there for the hole still matches, still lines up, so that's nice. My lines in the center, they match pretty well. And yeah, it looks fairly parallel, the gap is even. I think we've done a pretty good job here. So I'm quite happy with the way this turned out. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. It's close enough. I'm happy with it. So all I have to do now is take it back off, grind the ends, so make it nice and round, and then give it a coat of paint. So the paint I'll be using is this truck bed liner by Autotech. Not advertising here, it's just something I've used for years and I'm quite happy with it, and it's fairly cheap. I've painted various motorcycle bits, including these pannier racks with it, and I like the finish. It's a nice textured finish. It's very durable. You don't need primer or anything, just spray it on clean bare metal. I've had bits on my BMW sprayed for, I don't know, probably over 3 years now, and they still look very good. So yeah, this is what I'll be using today. Hopefully there's enough left in this can because it's the last one I have. So yeah, let's see how that goes. Grinding first, cleaning and painting. So here we are. It's actually been a few days, so we had time to dry. And it looks pretty good. It's quite a nice finish, most of it anyway. In fact, this is actually probably the worst I've ever had, because I don't know if the GoPro picked it up because the battery was low and it stopped at some point. But when I was there to put the second coat on it, the little nozzle on the spray can got blocked or something, so I couldn't use that anymore. It was my last can of truck bed liner, so I just took the cap off and just pressed it against the little tube that's sticking out of the can, which, well, you can still use, I guess, but there's no control there and not the same spray pattern. So that didn't turn out very well. Got one run here and another one on the inside. A bit worse, but you know, it's not terrible. And to top it up, I just left it there hanging to dry out. Just went in the house. When I looked out the window, it was raining outside. So the paint was touch dry at that point, but still you don't want any water on it. But regardless, it turned out pretty well. If it turns out this paint doesn't last, it's gonna start peeling off or chipping, could always do it again, strip the paint and do it again, or get it powder coated or whatever. But for now I'm happy with it as it is, and last thing to do is put it back on the bike. There we go, it's all done. The gap is fairly even. Probably doesn't look like it because the bike is leaning on one side, but yeah, if I just run my fingers under it, it feels pretty even. If I look from on top, this corner is slightly out a bit, but not massively. So yeah, overall I'm happy with it. The finish matches the rest of the racks because it's, well, used the same paint. So yeah, I'm sure it still does the job. It still stiffens everything up, and it definitely clears the wheel now. So it's a good result. I'm happy with it, and I don't think it looks like someone made it in his garage. I think it looks fairly good. So that's the end of this video. I hope it was helpful for you, or at least entertaining, and maybe it just gives someone an idea on how to set up their pannier racks, or how to modify, or how to make something. So yeah, thanks for watching and hope to see you again soon.